thank you for joining today's Sustainability Talk series. Our topic today is sustainability as a driver of business advantage. And I hope by the end of the session that you will walk away with a clear understanding of how adopting sustainability practices grounded in the ISSB standard, more specifically, isn't just about ticking a compliance box. It can genuinely become your business competitive advantage. So let's dive in. Okay, building a world where every company is a sustainability superstar. Yes, that's our motto. In fact, we can help you becoming one of the leading sustainability in the industry. So don't be hesitant to ask question, to contact us, and I hope that we can uh, collaborate and also work together because I believe that sustainability is a long-term game, and by collaborating, by working together, we can achieve the this purpose by strengthening our collaboration. And about us, so Eco Sustainability is a consultancy firm headquartered in Singapore. And here it has presence in Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. Our core services spanning sustainability reporting, consulting, carbon credits, training, and policy. So if you feel like your company needs a training or a sustainability reporting, we can help you out. And we are also not, I don't want to say we are not a standard consultant. We are because we are standards contributors for the report for the standards we are using. So we are standards contributor to ISSP, FERA, SETSP, Singapore's voluntary carbon market, SPTI, and also GHG protocol. So we already done 100 plus projects so far. We have 21 or 22 consultants in our team, and we work across 17 standards. This is just as I talked before, our presence in Southeast Asia. We have our headquarters in Singapore, with spanning across Malaysia, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines, and Indonesia. This is what we do: green consulting, sustainability reporting, education, carbon credit projects. Shout out to the team. In Indonesia itself, we currently have 3 carbon credit projects undergoing, and also we can help you with a think tank or policy making. And this is the standards and frameworks we work across. So many standards we work, 17 standards. In fact, we are so proud of this to give you a diverse advisory services. And this is the standards contribution. Shout out to the team because they have done a tremendous amount of work and time they are putting towards this effort in making this happen. And this is the housekeeping. So quick forward. This session will be recorded. So please keep your microphones muted during the presentation. And if you have any question, just post in the chat box and my team will respond or address them during the Q&A session. So, and last thing, remember there's no such thing as silly question. So just please do ask question as much as you could. My team will help you out. So moving into today's topic, sustainability as a driver of business advantage. So we will discover how sustainability can go beyond compliance. becoming a strategic advantage that drives innovation, strengthens brand reputation, and creates long-term business value. And what we will cover today in four parts. Beyond compliance, sustainable business strategy, what is it? And how sustainability can be a competitive advantages. And the last one is case studies. So, first thing, why sustainability? Why not financial modeling? Why not HR? Why not finance? Why sustainability? So, I have a perfect analogy for this. Sustainability is like a ship's hull design. It's not its paint job. So, a paint job is like a compliance, a PR or a CSR report. Makes the ship looks good when it's sitting in the harbor, but it doesn't change how the ship actually performs at sea. Meanwhile, a well-designed hull changes everything. It cuts fuel consumption, means lower costs. It lets the ship handle storms better, means resilience. It can reach ports others can, new markets, and go faster with less effort, means efficiency and speed to market. It's not a separate feature bolted into the ship. It's part of what makes the ship fundamentally better at doing its job. So fundamentally, it's better. It just doesn't how it looks good, but what matters the most is the fundamental is good enough. So beyond compliance, there are two mindsets companies actually operate within today. The first is a compliance mindset. Report because we must. Report because the regulators ask you to do. Tick the boxes, avoid the penalties sanctioned by the government if so. That's not a bad thing on its own. But this company tends to resent new regulation, because they are only ever doing just enough. Example, your company needs to plant 10,000 trees, then you do 10,000. That's it. But the second one is a strategic mindset. Report because it reveals risk, drives value, and also builds trust. This shift isn't really being driven by regulation. It's being driven by people and organizations actively seeking transformation. Okay? The rules set the floor, the leaders build above it. The ones who understand sustainability build above it. So, we move on to the second part, sustainable business strategy. So what is it? A sustainable business strategy integrates environmental, social, and governance value into core decision making, not as an add-on, not as a separate one, but as a driver of growth. It aligns profitability with purpose and then positioning companies to innovate faster, attract capital, and build resilience in a changing market. So, I do get this question quite often. How do you create a sustainable business strategy? Are there any guiding tools or frameworks for my company to do this? Well, many businesses treat sustainability as a separate strategy running alongside the business. However, I have a good news for you. ISSB's IFRS S1 and S2 flip that concept. It provides the framework for building sustainability directly into business strategy itself. So I have a quick question before we move on. You can type your opinion in the chat. What is the difference between sustainability strategy and sustainable business strategy? This is a common misconception that the business is that the industry is going on right now. So I want to hear about your opinion right in the chat box. So ISSP has four core contents, and both S1, the sustainability related financial disclosures, and S2, climate related financial disclosures, required to disclose among these four contents. First is the governance. Who oversees sustainability risk? Is it board level accountant or management teams? Who is in charge? So second one is strategy. How do sustainability and climate related risks and opportunities affect your business model, affect your value chain, suppliers, your end life cycle products, financial position, and prospects? So how does sustainability and climate risk affect your company, affect the money, affect the financials? It's on strategy. The third one is risk management. How do you identify, assess, and manage sustainability risk? How does this integrate with overall risk assessment? So how do you handle this risk? How do you assess it? It's all on this part. And the fourth one, the last one, is metrics and targets. So what are you measuring? What targets have you set? Are you positioning into net zero? When is it? Or are you positioning into 50% reduction in what year? For example, in climate related S2, scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions data is mandatory for this. So what are the numbers? It's the quantitative side of the ISSP. So moving on, what strategy means in ISSP? So strategy part is the most important pillar in ISSP reporting. So under ISSP, strategy is not about your 5-year business plan in the usual sense. It means show investors how sustainability risks and opportunities connect to your business and what you are doing about them. So think of it like a doctor's report. A doctor doesn't just say you are healthy or you are sick. They explain the risk, how serious is it, and the treatment plan. The ISSP strategy disclosure is your company sustainability health report. So there are 5 things that every company must disclose about how sustainability affects the business. This is the heart of ISSP. First, your risks and opportunities. Name them specifically with numbers, time horizons, short, medium, long term, and it generally different in every industry. A short term in cement industry might be different with a medical or in agriculture industry and their financial magnitude. Second one is business model and the supply chain. Where in your operation does sustainability buy? Is it included in your full value chain, your suppliers, consumers, the life cycle of the product? And it's not just in your own operations. You need to access it wholly. Third one is strategy and decisions. So you need to prove sustainability is changing actual investment decisions. It is not affecting how you spend money. So explain why. If it's not actually affecting how you spend money, explain. You need to explain it. You need to disclose it. And the fourth one, financial effects. You need to quantify the impact on the revenue, the costs, assets, liabilities, and cash flows, both current and anticipated future. So this year and the future, the financial effects. The last one is resilience. So you need to do a scenario analysis. So what happens to your business under a scenario where things get significantly worse? In S2, more specifically, it is required to do scenario analysis to see whether your business are resilient enough to withstand the usual global warming up to 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. That's it. Then, let me sum up to this. ISSP strategy isn't a report card. It's a diagnosis, a treatment plan, and a prognosis, all backed by numbers. So, 5 questions. If you can answer all five with specific, you don't have a strategy. You only have a wish list. So ISSP real question is in short, asking your company. So how are you feeling really? Really? How are you really feeling? And it wants more than fine thanks. The real question isn't are you sustainable? It's do you actually know what sustainability is doing to your bottom line? That's the heart of ISSP. So these are the, let's connect this to real numbers. The three financial dimensions in ISSP: performance, positions, and prospects. Performance is what hit the profit and loss this year. Carbon taxes paid, energy savings realized, green revenue earned, or fines. Position is what's at risk on the balance sheet. Assets in climate exposed areas, stranded asset risk, environmental provisions, and ESG linked debt covenants, and much more. Prospects is whether you can keep generating cash into the future. Short term up to a year, medium 1 to 5 years, and long term beyond 5 years. One more distinction that matters: current effects versus anticipated effects. Think of it like think of it like your car. Current effects are the warning lights on your dashboard right now. Anticipated effects are your mechanic telling you the engine will fail in 18 months if you don't fix it. ISSP wants to see both of it. So your current and also your anticipated risk. So this is the 3P summary. Sustainable ISSP business strategy comes down to 3Ps: performance, position, and prospects, not the 3P people, profit, and planet. That's the whole strategy pillar in one sentence. So now, well, why would a business want to do this well beyond compliance? This is where it gets interesting. Let's talk about the competitive advantage or the benefits why sustainability can be a driver for your business advantage. Done well, ISSP compliance is not a cost. It's actually a strategic asset to the business. There are 5 competitive advantages I want to talk through: cheaper capital, better decision, early risk management, stakeholder trust, and a future-proof business. Let's take this one at a time. First one, lower cost of capital. ESG-rated companies can access green bonds and sustainability-linked loans at a lower cost. Institutional investors, such as pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, major asset managers, are actively screening companies on sustainability disclosures right now, and in the future, it will be more stringent as well. Companies that cannot demonstrate strong sustainability management risk being excluded from major investment indices altogether. Or to put simply, good ISSP strategy disclosure can directly lower your cost of capital and access to finance. Second one, better decision making. This is the one most people don't expect. When you are forced to quantify your sustainability risk and climate risk and map them to financial outcomes, you discover things you didn't know before. For example, you didn't know that I have an asset that actually hits with flood 5 times in these past 10 years. And it actually cost me a lot of money. Are we on the same page? For example, in Indonesia, because it's volcanic, there are a lot of volcanic mountains. For example, there are businesses operate in a highly prone volcanic area. Actually, in the last 10 years, the business stopped for 3 months because of an eruption. It is financially material. It is financially it affects the financial part of the business. So it also forces better conversation between your finance team and your sustainability team because hidden risks in your supply chain, efficiency opportunities that you couldn't see before exist in this part. So ISSP strategy isn't just a reporting exercise. Done properly, it is a strategic audit of your business. The report is the output, the thinking is the real value. Advantage 3, early risk management. We'll look at two case studies shortly after this. Volkswagen and PG&E, where the financial damage was catastrophic because risks weren't properly managed or disclosed in their business operations. So ISSP forces you to identify physical and process risks before they become crises. Companies doing this well now are building a 2 to 3 and maybe 5 year advantage over those who will scramble to comply later on. Being early to ISSP strategy is like buying insurance before flood season, not during the season. Advantage 4 is the stakeholder trust. Transparency is now a competitive asset. Customers, employees, suppliers, regulators, and communities, basically your stakeholders, all respond positively to companies that are honest, that are transparent about their sustainability journey, including the challenges they face. Younger talent increasingly wants to work for companies with credible strategies, not just pure slogans or marketing or greenwashing. Trust is slow to build and fast to lose. ISSB gives you a framework to build it systematically. Last one, advantage five, and the biggest one is the future-proof business model. The world is moving. Regulations are tightening. Investor expectations are rising. Natural resources are becoming scarce. Consumers' preferences are shifting. Physical climate impacts are intensifying, and so on, so on, and so on. Just a lot of things are happening in the future. We don't know about that. But the only real question is whether you get ready now or get forced to react later. That's why I always say sustainability is a long-term plan, long-term game. You cannot say my business is sustainable right now, and in 10 years your business model will be done already. So you need to properly assess it regularly and see whether it is future-proof and resilient for years to come. So the bottom line is ISSB is not a burden, it's a mirror. It shows exactly how prepared your business is for the world that's coming. Companies that look in that mirror honestly and act on what they see will be the ones that win in the future. Practically speaking, S1 asks you to disclose all sustainability risks that affect your financial outcomes. S2 focus on climate, scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, scenario analysis, and your transition plan to this. Done well, ISSP means cheaper capital, better decision, and also more resilient business. My suggestion is assess your current sustainability risk against IFRS S1 and S2 materiality and map which risk could affect your cash flow, balance sheet, or access to financing, and also the investor's decision. And start with climate or the S2 because that's where regulators and investors are looking first. My team and eco-sustainability can help you in assessing the sustainability and climate-related risk. So please contact our team in the chat box down below if you are looking for this. So now let's move forward to what happens when companies get this wrong and when it's right, or the case study. First, the most famous scenario or the case out of them all. No cap everywhere in the world right now knows this. The Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal. This is a strategy and business model failure. VW installed defeat devices in around 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide. Software that detected emission testing and temporarily reduced output to pass, while emitting far beyond legal limits on the road. The company simply did not have a credible environmental strategy integrated in its business model. The financial cost, more than 32 billion US dollars, including a 15 billion US dollar settlement in the US, roughly 4 billion US dollars in fines, and a quarterly loss of 1.67 billion euros, its first loss in 15 years. The ISSB linked to this, under the strategy pillar, VW would have been required to disclose how environmental risks affected its business model and whether the strategy was resilient to regulatory changes. Had that discipline existed and been enforced before this scandal, this deception could never have been buried. They wouldn't take this deception with the customers. So the next one, PG&E, often called as the world's first climate bankruptcy. This is a physical risk and resilience failure. In January 2019, PG&E declared bankruptcy after being hit with an estimated $30 billion in liabilities tied to wildfires in California. Their market capitalization collapsed from 36 billion US dollars to just $3 billion that same year. The root cause? Failure to adequately assess, disclose, or invest against physical climate risk. Aging infrastructure in a region increasingly prone to extreme fire conditions. The ISSB linked to this. IFRS S2 requires disclosure of physical climate risk and scenario analysis on strategy resilience. PG&E had neither of this. Ignoring climate risk isn't a value choice. It's a balance sheet choice. So you need to disclose this at most. This is an interesting case study. Apple versus Microsoft. Let me ask you this question. Which one do you think is more sustainable? In your mind, which one is more sustainable? Apple or Microsoft? You can drop it. You can drop your opinion on the comment link. So, Apple, the most valuable brand in the world. Let's see from tales to cautionary tales to brand perception. According to Brand Finance 2025 rankings, Apple is the most valuable brand in the world, followed by Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Walmart. So, interestingly, Apple also holds the highest sustainability perception value of any brand globally in 2025. Okay? But there's a plot twist, of course. The top position is not actually an assessment of Apple's real sustainability performance. In fact, Apple has been criticized for labor conditions in their production facilities, links to conflict zones in the sourcing of minerals, and their greenhouse gas emissions. So, why the perception gap? So Apple's position reflects consumers' perception that they are making genuine efforts to minimize their negative impact. And they have a perception itself, they brand themselves as a leader in sustainability through their ambitious Apple 2030. Well, as an Apple user myself, I would say Apple is really great in marketing their products. For example, Android companies or Samsung maybe sometimes we have 128 gigabytes of storage. Apple, they will say we have sufficient storage for users, or maybe we have really fast storage for users. They don't, so they don't disclose the exact numbers. They are really clever in their copywriting or in their, their words. They are really clever in their marketing words. I would say like that. So the key insight here is the brands best perceived as sustainable are the ones that explicitly make sustainability part of their brand story. Perception follows communication, not just performance. So let's move on. So Microsoft. Now compare Apple to Microsoft. Microsoft is actually a leader in the sustainability performance, but consumers don't perceive them that way. Why? In fact, brand finance found there's no statistically significant correlation between actual sustainability performance and perceived sustainability from within the Microsoft and also their consumers. So what does it mean? Actually, is Microsoft has under-leveraged branding. Microsoft has aggressive, high-level environmental targets, but their branding doesn't fully leverage their performance compared to other brands, especially Apple. And the takeaway, brands that don't communicate their sustainability performance to stakeholders fail to maximize their branding, and that reduces the brand value. This is the side-to-side comparison. Same planet, same technology industry, same technology company, very different story in consumers' mind. Apple, number one most valuable brand globally, number one in sustainability perception, despite criticism over labor condition, conflict mineral, and emission. Their strength is their Apple 2030 pledge, front and center in their communication, and the way they communicate these sustainability initiatives too. Meanwhile, Microsoft, an actual leader in sustainability performance, carbon negative pledge, water positive commitments, waste programs, but consumers seems to not see it this way because it isn't woven into their brand story. It isn't integrated into their brand story the same way as Apple did. This is sometimes called greenwashing, the opposite of greenwashing. The punchline, straight from brand finance, brands that do not communicate their sustainability performance fail to maximize brand value. You can do the right thing and still lose if you don't tell the story. So storytelling is also important in sustainability as well. Let's move on to the success story, HSBC. Actually, HSBC has done ISSB aligned sustainability reporting. And its positive example is HSBC approach to ESG is rooted in creating long-term value for their customers and the economies they serve. And their financial performance reflects that growth. Let's walk through how they map to each of the four ISSB pillars, just as I explained earlier on. First one, governance. The board takes overall responsibility for ESG strategy, overseeing how it's developed, executed, and reported. The board receives regular, specific updates on ESG matters, and board members receive ESG-related training as part of their ongoing development. Next is the strategy. So HSBC are committed into transitioning to net zero, and it's their key priority. Since 2020, they have provided and facilitated 393.6 billion US dollars in sustainable finance and investment. That strategy translated directly into capital allocation. The third one, the risk management. HSBC has enhanced their climate risk scenario analysis to assess risk under different temperature pathways and develop climate risk guidelines to integrate climate considerations directly into their credit risk assessment processes. The last one, metrics and targets. HSBC has made some good progress in reducing Scope 1 and 2 emissions. They are on track for more than 90% reduction by 2030 against their 2019 baseline. Scope 3 emissions in their supply chain, though, are proving slower to reduce than anticipated, which is honest and worth noting. This means the company is transparent to the investors and to stakeholders. And this is what we want with sustainability reporting. And this is my one of my favorite story about in creating sustainable business strategy. I don't know how to pronounce this company. Orsted, Orsted, I don't know, Orsted. Let's just call it like that. From fossil fuel utility to global renewable energy leader. This is a great example of a sustainable business strategy in action, not just a sustainability strategy sitting on the side. Orsted was formerly Dong Energy. It's based in Denmark, and it is Denmark's state-owned oil and gas company. But rather than running sustainability alongside its existing businesses, Orsted rebuilt its entire business around sustainability. Might be crazy to think. So from coal, they shifted and rebuilt its entire uh, business, its entire kingdom, its entire company that it used to rely on into a sustainable approach. So starting in 2009, the company phased out coal and they converted its power station to sustainable biomass. And by 2017, had fully divested its oil and gas production business, the very business it was built on. And they rebrand entirely around a renewable energy vision. How this fairy tale kind of story become true? So how ESG become their core strategy, not as a side initiative. So here's what made the transformation real, rather than just a rebrand. Sustainability was built into governance and capital allocation, not just reporting. Executive accountability for decarbonization was integrated directly into performance metrics, and capital was directed toward offshore wind build-up. In 2009, Ørsted placed a bulk order for 500 wind turbines. That's almost 20 years ago. And maybe in that time, it was crazy. More than existed offshore anywhere in the world at the time. That single move secured a strategic supply chain that made offshore wind cost effective at a scale. That strategy, the SSP pillar we talked about earlier, playing out in a real capital decision. So in short, they realized that this is an opportunity they might exploit. This is an opportunity they can use, and they shifted their business entirely around it. That's strategy. So what's the result? Okay, the results speaks for themselves. By 2017, Ørsted was the fastest growing and most profitable utility in its category, with 1.58 billion euros in Q4 operating profit alone, only in Q4. By 2025, it had cut emission 98% since 2006, while reaching 99% renewables in its energy mix, proving that sustainability and profitability move together, not against each other. Its green bond financing and investor appeal also demonstrate exactly to the lower cost of capital advantage we talked about earlier. Strong ESG performance translating directly into cheaper money and cheaper access to finance. That's a great note to end our case studies on sustainability. So sustainability, done as a genuine business strategy rather than a side initiative, built one of the most successful energy transition in the world. So to end this explanation, are there any questions? Just drop it in the comments section and I can help you in answering that. Oh, okay. Abdullah asked, sustainability strategy is broader strategy to achieve sustainability by protecting environment, etc. However, correct. So sustainability strategy is usually exists in CSR or the environment programs. For example, the For example, let's say a company, a bank, they say we have planted 10,000 plants this year. That's a sustainability strategy. Their impact to the environment, their impact to the stakeholders, their impact to the environment. That's sustainability strategy. But sustainable business strategy is the one that actually your business need to access, need to build on, because it integrates sustainability and climate related risk into the operations and the value chain. Okay, what is the difference between what is the difference between IFRS S1 and S2 and CSRD? Okay, Abdullah, actually IFRS S1 and S2 is S1 and S2 needs to be disclosed together. And the analogy is S1 is the imagine it's a human body. S1 is the flesh and the bone, so the structure. S2 is the organ, the specific organ of the body. For example, the heart, your heart. So S1 is the body, the structure. S2 is the climate related or climate specific framework that it needs to report, that company needs to report. So the difference between IFRS S1 and S2 and CSRD is the materiality. So IFRS S1 and S2 only requires you to disclose on financial materiality. What this means is how sustainability issues affects the company's finances. On the other hand, CSRD via ESRS right now uses double materiality, both using the impact materiality, how the company affects people and planet, and also their financial materiality as well. Also, maybe the interoperability. So EFRAG, which developed ESRS, has worked directly with the ISSB to align two frameworks and reducing duplication for companies that need to report under both standards. But it's one directional anyways. CSRD compliance captures most of what ISSB requires plus more, like the impact materiality, while ISSB compliance alone doesn't get you to CSRD compliance. So depending on which regulation you operate in, well, you maybe they say you need to disclose your financial materiality, but you also need to disclose impact materiality. Maybe you can use CSRD rather than using CSRD and ISSB, because ISSB also requires financial disclosures. Maybe that's it. Depending on the regulation wise, that's it. Depend on the regulation. Oh, okay. To end our session, do we have any upcoming webinars? Abdullah asked about it. So actually, let me. Okay, we have. This is our upcoming webinars. Next week is going to be my turn again for for Indonesians who are joining in this talk. I hope there are some Indonesian people here in this webinar. Next week, I'm going to talk about Indonesia regulatory landscape. And I think I will explain it in Bahasa Indonesia. So if you are interested and you understand some Bahasa Indonesia, you can join in. I would be really grateful for that. But stay tuned in our group chat, in our community WhatsApp community chat, because that we will inform you later on whether it's in English or Indonesia. And if you are really interested about Indonesia regulatory landscape, its carbon market, its sustainable finance initiative, please do join in. We would love to have you as well. And then we have introduction to carbon accounting, Geraldine will be speaking on the 3rd of August. Thailand, CBAM, sustainability reporting, and use of AI in sustainability reporting as well. Malaysia regulatory landscape, and carbon credit 101 as well by the end of this quarter's talk. So this is the speakers. Also, you can see the time. So we will inform you more comprehensively in the WhatsApp group whether it's going to be on the same exact date and exact time just as I show you, or it's going to be directed into another schedule. Correct? Yep. I hope we're in the same page. Yeah, let's. Okay. You can scan this barcode. Please follow our LinkedIn and also our WhatsApp community. That's where our information usually get informed. And if you have any inquiries or maybe question, please do connect to my peers or me myself. You can connect me at this email and my phone number. I am based in Indonesia. If you are from Indonesia and you would like to ask for consultancy, you ask for sustainability reporting, you can contact me or Pak Henry here, his email and WhatsApp number. For Malaysia, we have Tang. For Philippines, we have CD. And then for Thailand, we have Charingrat. And you can contact them. You can screenshot this and contact them. And maybe that's it. Building a world where every company is a sustainability superstar. That's our motto. And I hope that you enjoyed this session. You can insightful session with us. And I hope that you will join on our other talks as well. Well, happy Monday all. Good evening. And thank you very much for attending this webinar session. See you on another chance. Bye bye.